Hey, this is what my new kid cage looks like. If I was you, I'd build one pretty much like this. These are females over here. I just brought another young kid up because I had too many young male birds, so I put two kids of females in here, an old kid and a young kid. And to me, this is what you should do for a kid cage. You got plenty of room there. Something like this cost me about $200–300. You see the trap doors up there, the wire bottom. The only thing I wish I would have done a little different was made a better feed bowl for all the birds, but that works pretty good. And then these are my males over here. All these birds over here are 2, 3, 4, and 5 years old, and they're still flying. The two white females I'm going to give you are those two back up in the corner. They're called light red tortoiseshells. They've each had a white parent, I believe. But got a lot of blacks. Blacks are real good, the whites are real good. But every one of these birds over here rolls at least 50 feet. They're hawk proof. And hardly anything, they won't hardly fly away in a windstorm or anything. Almost all these birds have been blown away once or twice in their life and still made it back. But you can see how the males are just a little bit bigger than the females. And not all of them, but when they get old, they get a little bit bigger, some of them. So this is definitely a nice kid cage. The trap doors, but I want to use the trap doors if I have to. They're usually so hungry that they go right in anyway. Now over here is my breeding cages. This cage right here was my original cage I made in 1981, I believe. Yeah, it was November 10th, 1981. This is the kind of cage I had when I was a kid. And here's the trap doors, which I took the barbs from and put them on my other cages because I don't use these for kid cages no more. But something like this is what you should have for yours. That way you can have your breeders on one side, and then over here when I first started I had all these were kit cages. They had little lofts or little perches for each of the birds as kit cages, but then I made more cages later on. I turned these into breeder cages. And these are all of these birds that I've made it into these roller cages are the best. But you can see how when I say I feed my birds at one time, I put the food down, put the grid over here, and I put the food over here, and there's my water bowl. A little bit dirty right now, but birds make a mess. This is how I talked about separating the breeding loft into two little sections. This is the way I used to have it until some of them fell apart. I just used the one box now. It's about 2 foot deep, foot high, 2 foot wide. And you can see by having the room underneath, it's good room for little babies. When they get about this size here, you put them on the ground, and it gives the birds a little more room to live. Besides that, the nest boxes aren't on the ground, where if I wash this off, they get all wet, bugs crawl up in them and stuff like that. But this here works real good. This particular pair up here is where you get your red birds from. This is that bird there is the red male that you're getting the 2 babies off of. And I was going to show you about the spot on the back of them. I was talking about the hole in the back here. Well, that area in the back there should be real small in the back. These secondary feathers if you can see this little hole here in the rump, this is what I'm talking about. They should have secondary feathers that cover up the rump. It should be a single feather tail, which they usually are when they're young, but as you can see that there's not that big a hole in the back, and the secondary feathers are real nice and thick. That's the brakes that stop the bird when they fly. As you can see, that's a real nice bird there. It's a real good roller. In fact, when the bird gives me a... You can see how they've been trained to go right back. And this works ideal. When I come home, I change the water bowls and I feed them, and I open up both boxes and they all come down for 20 minutes, or as long as you want to feed them. As long as they have eggs and babies, they usually don't bother the other females, but I usually make sure that I don't let them out too long. And this is how I would do it if I was you. I use dog bowls for breeder bowls, because the paper ones just disintegrate, and these work a lot better. And when you get done, you just up to go back into the cages. And this is how I do it. Those are breeders and these are breeders. The same thing. These birds here, it's just the same idea. I just open them up and they all come down for a few minutes, and then I swoosh them back up and back up they go. So it works pretty good. I enjoy it. This is where I usually keep my bands, somewhere close. And if you happen to miss a banding, then I usually have a little bit of Vaseline up here for the bigger babies, so you can get the band on in case they're too big. And over here I have some of my original kit cages that I started with. There's the staff door, and here's what I'm talking about, the 4 individual kit cages. I can really get quite a few birds in each of these. And that way, these happen to all be males here. I raise a lot more males than females. But you can see how this here was my last 20 babies. And so I'm trying to keep them all male and female. I feel for the males, to make sure they're males, and I put the females in the female cage. Now this kit here is a 1990 kit. These two cocks here are the ones I'm going to give you. These birds are excellent rollers. You can see they're pretty much made the same. A little bit. No, they're perfect. They both. I just flew them the other day, and they both went way over 50 feet on the roll. Real nice. All these birds in here roll real nice. I just happened to make sure that I gave you the 2 birds that were the deepest, because I want to make sure you get some roll out of your birds. But if they're too deep, then you'll know on the first couple birds, because they'll show you. But this worked out pretty good. I just take a cement trowel and I'll clean it out. Like I cleaned this out yesterday, and I already done that much. But this is how I fly them out of here. And they're all real good rollers. If you happen to like any more of these, you can kind of see them here, so you can, maybe if you wanted to get some more later, there's plenty of birds. But all these birds in here roll real nice, and they fly for an hour or 2. The less you feed them, the less they fly, but you gotta feed them so much to make sure they keep their feathers. Like right now, they're just starting to molt on their foreheads a little bit, but it's been kind of warm here, so they'll molt feathers almost all the time, but I usually do it twice a year. But real nice birds there. Over here I have another breeding cage. This is what I'm talking about, for these babies that I'm sending you, I definitely get something like this to feed the babies, because they don't know how to drink out of one of these bowls here like this yet. So something like that works real good. Now these babies right here, 3, 6, 9, 10. These are the babies that I'm going to be sending you here. So there's your black-white flight. It came off of this pair down below, a blue bar and a black-white flight. The two whites there came off of my last pair that I mated up. Those two birds are excellent rollers, just like all my other pairs. In fact, this pair right here gave me that light red tortoiseshell, and that's an 83, and this is a 86 bird here. You see a little bit of grouse leg on them, so that's why the white bird has a little bit of grouse. The two reds came from the other red cock that I showed you. These two blue checks here came from this bottom pair down here. The gray check down there took second place at the, I don't have my annual Pensum show hat on, but the first 1989 annual Pensum show memorial, the blue check down in there sitting on the eggs was a young male, and he almost took first place as the young male bird, young cock. The two red checks there, they come from my Grand Champion red check over here. I didn't show you them. The black came from another pair on the other side, but I think you'll real good with those birds there. I really didn't want to get rid of the two reds or the two whites because they come off some real good rollers, especially for 10 bucks a piece. You got a damn good deal there. In fact, the blue checks should do real good too. They all should do good. The red checks selves, the dad was the 87 Grand Champion, and he was a 100-foot roller at a year of age. He started coming into a 100-foot roll. As you can see how I got these rigged up too. So that you open the boxes. Okay, Ray, we kind of ran out of battery here. Meanwhile, I let these birds go, and they've been flying for an hour and 31 minutes. This is my 18 here. Kind of like a little bit of ragtag, but it should be plain mold. Change a little bit of feathers here and there. And as you can see, they're all pretty beefy birds, but that's the way cocks should look like on the muscle. Now I'll show you that that door is kind of a joke, but one thing I got to show you, Ray, is that don't get the racing pigeon, which has the big corn. This has the special pigeon. It has the popcorn in it, which is what they eat. They don't eat the big corn. They eat the popcorn seeds. And then here's what the grit looks like. This regular oyster shell. Okay. Birds have been with me a long time. They'll come down and eat on my hand if I really tempt them. I haven't fed them by hand for a while, but I feed all my birds by hand. It makes them a lot tastier. You can see how the trap door is okay for beginners or to go someplace, but if you're going to stay there and watch it like you should, that's the way to do it right there. There's a couple of these birds that I was going to give you instead of the two that I picked out. They look kind of crummy because they're all beat up on the tails, but actually this bird here is probably one of the better rollers that I have. It's like this bird here. These two birds you're looking at right here are all beat up on the tails because they're usually the last ones in and they fight for the food so bad. But these birds, two birds here, two excellent rollers. You gotta remember these birds are 3, 4, and 5 years old, so flying them like the dogs that I do, they kind of get worn out. Like I said, most of these birds here should be breeders instead of skip birds, but to me, you should fly your birds quite a while before you start breeding off them, but a year is usually good. But when you start at first, you'll be using them up as young breeders. And when you get to me about what I'm doing, this has been 10 years now, well, you end up with old birds that are excellent rollers, but no place to put them. And I really like them. They're real good birds. This is my 18 male, this is my 18 female. Now, like I was telling you about the flag, well, because I have a pool, I use my pool wire, and that's just for my youngsters, the birds that are in here, or any bird that won't stay out. But usually after a year, you don't have to do this. This is just for birds that are young birds that you're trying to keep off the roofs. Keep them up in the air and make sure after they're about 4 months of age, you make them fly for 20 minutes. That's why I have a timer on my watch and I make damn sure they stay up in the air. Okay? Those birds have been up, like I say, for an hour and a half. And I only fed them birds a cup of food. You'll find that the older they get, the more they stay up in the air. Okay, now I'm going to show you how I feed these birds, my breeders here real quick. I've already blown my females, that's why I fed them already, that's why I don't feed them now. Here's my grit. And as you can see, I got the same old spot where I feed the birds all the time, so it pretty much works out. Here it is 5 o'clock in the evening. And that's just about the time I get home from work. Notice you're in construction. I do underground construction. Sewer, water, storm drain, electrical fence, and whatever else we can find. You can imagine, a lot of people say they never, you don't raise too many aces. Well, I have 48 aces in these cages here. These are all ace rollers. In other words, they all roll at least 50 foot. The males roll at least 50 foot. The females, maybe not that long, but they roll pretty good too. As you can tell, these birds only feed them once a day. That's usually all they eat. As you can see, I raise cockatiels and doves, and I got a pair of umbrella cockatoos back in the back there. They're pretty noisy, so keep them covered up. But this works out pretty good for me. So this is how I do it. I think we stopped back over here. I'll show you where I put the birds that after they get to about the size that the birds I'm shooting you, and I make sure that they eat and drink on their own. Then they come over to here, where I just pulled these 20 birds out of my last 3 breeder boxes and I put them over here. Actually, there's 30 birds in here. And what I have in here are my old breeder birds. After about 5-6 years of breeding, they don't breed as fast as younger birds do. But these birds here are really good rollers. This old my old 6-second hen right here. She just took Grand Champion at the last Santa Barbara County Fair we had here. And the judge saw her from about a mile away, and when he ended up over there, he didn't even bother hardly with the rest of them. He just picked on her. He really liked it. Stand up a little higher, Barb, and you can show them the cover. As you can see, these birds, stand up and look down, right? Look down at the back. Now you can see what I mean by the hole in the back. You see this black-red tortoiseshell here. He's almost covered up on the back. Pretty much all of them are almost covered up. That's the area I was telling you about where, for show purposes, or also for the breaks, you should have that cover over the rump. You see how this bird here has a little bigger hole? Well, a bird that has a real big hole like that will roll a little bit farther because there's no breaks there. Right? You know that you have to have somewhat of a hole there in order for them to roll backwards, but the more cover the better. You'll notice that they all have about the same kind of pattern on their rump. And there's just a little hole. And these are the next youngsters here. If you look at these, you can really see the single feather tail on the youngsters. As they get a little bit older, the feathers get a little bigger. But you can really see the cover on the back of these birds here. And of course it's been a long time breeding, but that's what you got to go for. And here is how I put the little spots, 5 apiece. And what I do is I let these birds grow up in here. They're about a month old now, maybe almost 2 months, or whatever. And then I let them get to where I know that when I let them out, they're going to be able to fly away from a hawk. It's not so important during the summertime like it is right now, but during the wintertime, you have to be a little bit bigger in order to get away from a hawk. During the summertime, these birds here, I let my younger birds out about a month earlier, 2 months earlier, because there's really no bird of prey around to peck on them. So it's better during the summertime to let the birds out early, and during the wintertime a little bit later, because the peregrine falcons come, the sharp-shinned hawks come, the Cooper's hawks show up, and the chicken hawks show up. So I try and protect the birds by making them grow up a little bit more during the wintertime. And also I noticed that the wintertime birds are a heck of a lot better flyers than the summertime birds, because during the wintertime birds, if they sit down on the roof, they're dead. A hawk usually gets them and they're gone. So I like the winter birds just because they know enough to sit down on the roof. If they sit down on the roof, then a hawk will get them and they're done with, and you don't have to worry about them. As you can see, I raised a lot of blue checks. It kind of comes and goes. Seems like this batch here was mostly dark blue checks and blue bars and stuff like that, but I usually get about an average number. They're all about the same. I get about reds and blacks and whites and blue checks. It just so happens that you see a lot of blue checks right here. These were some of the birds that would have been better for you to start, because I've never let these birds out. But what I'm actually doing is training them to my house right now by moving them over away from the parents so that they get a little more mature faster. If you left them in the nest box past the age of those birds that I'm sending you, they're no good. They're titty suckers. They're no good. They'll never be anything. So you got to keep them away from the parents as soon as you can. But that's why I put the babies on the ground like in my breeder boxes and let the parents come down and feed them. And then as soon as they're able to eat on their own and drink on their own, I get them away from the parents to get them independent. Like these 30 birds here, I should have flown today, but I didn't have enough time with all the work I was doing on your pedigree papers. But these birds here are ready to go out. You can see how they're just a little bit bigger than the birds you have. Usually when the birds get over to here, they're $20 birds because I've spent so much time with them to feed them. But there's some real nice birds in there. I really like these. Always talk to your birds. I usually whistle them down. The whistle you just heard, that means feeding time. And when they're out flying, I kind of fake them out by doing this number when they're up in the air. This is how I call them down. 1, 2, 3. They don't know there's food in there, but usually when I go like this, that means it's food time. I'll also tell them time's up, come on down, it's time to eat. Okay, now I think I like to fly the kit out of the birds that you're going to buy, so you can actually maybe see the birds roll. I don't know if my wife here, Barbara, can catch the birds rolling, but if you'll get back a bit, Barbara, then I'll let the bottom kit out, ones you're going to bite the birds from, and then if you know which ones to look for, Barbara, red, and I'll show you. These are the two birds that we're going to be watching right here. Like I said, both of these birds here are excellent rollers. And they'll show you. They'll be nice to do. I got 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 16 birds in this kit here. Birds here are 1990 birds, so definitely a year old right now. Now the one in the end there, the red, the white bird there on the right, is the one that they're going to buy, the red ball head. I'll bet you watching them for a minute or two. You'll notice that I got rid of... Okay, I got it running again. Let me look up here. Yeah, you really can't... It's kind of hard to see these birds because they're up there so far. Let me see where they're at there. There they are. Need to power zoom in a little bit more. Yeah, they're way up there. It's kind of hard to see birds in this thing. Let me see what it looks like down here. Yeah, these birds are, you could probably see them there. It's really hard to get them with a VCR that doesn't zoom in on them. Yeah, I need a better, a movie type thing, but you get the idea that they're way up there. You can see some of them rolling now. this one here is one of yours right here. I'll try and keep an eye on him for a minute. Come on. Yeah. I flew these birds last night, so they're probably pretty pooped. They flew for about 2 hours last night. And usually I fly the birds the morning after I feed them. It gives them a heck of a lot more energy to do their thing. So you have to remember that if you feed them at nighttime and you want to fly them on Saturday morning, that's about the best time because they really take off. Keep an eye on this one here. These birds here just came back from 2 weeks at the fair, so they're pretty pooped, or out of shape I should say. I don't know if you're going to be able to pick this up on your on the VCR, but I'll check it out when we get it in the house. And this will give you an idea of how they should kit. And they fly pretty high. This is about 500 feet right here. Normally they go up and out of sight. These birds have only been up for 6 minutes. These birds are flying straight up right now. It's really hard to hold this VCR camera. But what you see up there in the air is about how high they should fly. And well, these birds are a year old, so they fly pretty good. Yeah, it's kind of a long ways up there. It's kind of hard to see them. What I'll do is watch them here for a couple more minutes because this is killing my neck. I'm going to stop it here for a minute, Ray, and check out these birds. Ray, it doesn't really matter which one of these you make to which one. They're both real good rollers. What I'm going to do here though is to put one of the cockbirds that came down first in there. We'll see how this goes here.
Cool. That's cool.
Hey Ray, the other bird that have the ears is way the heck up there. This is how I calm down after such a long time. It's like 50 minutes. Or like food in the hand. Probably what I'll do, Ray, is put the young birds together. Kind of keep an eye on there for a couple minutes. Hey, this is kind of how I keep my records. Put down the year and the band numbers, and then the serial of the bands. And that way you can keep track of where they come from and who they are. Year after year after year, you do the same thing. And that way you know where they're coming from. And then I have a page for breeders, for my breeder boxes. There are 3 different boxes like so. And then I just have names in the back of different people that I sold birds to. That way I can keep track of everybody and all that stuff. That way you have some good records, and also you have a little spot in here to write down information on stuff that you like to write about. Also, Ray, I'm going to give you 10 Pensum roller bands of mine. That way you have enough bands to cover this year. Also, I put in the envelope the pedigrees and also a PRC application form. It doesn't really matter which club you belong to. Just so happens I belong to the Pensum Roller Club because these are Pensum birds, flying Pensum birds, not show birds. I thought they would have reacted a little bit better than what they are, but the cock is a little bit of a young bird, still a year old. He's more wanting some food to eat. Yeah, he's more hungry. Both of them are hungry. Already been 54 minutes. The rest of them are, probably about 1,000 feet up. Some of them are up there so high, I can barely see them. Okay, these birds have been down here for about 55 minutes, my breeders. I can tell by the sounds they make that they're not fooling around with anybody, so this is plenty long enough. Most of them are already back up in the boxes by the time I come in here. Don't even have to do anything. They're already back up in boxes because they've been down for plenty long. Okay, Ray, you get the idea of pretty much what to expect, and run out of battery power. So these birds here will be taking them down to the post office tomorrow at 3 o'clock, and they'll be getting shipped down to LA and then over to Vegas. So they should be getting to you about 10, 11, 12 o'clock, something like that. So there'll be 2 boxes. And I come over in at the end of August, September. What time? September. 28th of September, or the 20th of September. I'll give you a call before I come over so I can get the address and all that stuff from you, so we know how to get to you. I don't have a car or nothing, but maybe I can give you a call from the hotel and you can come get me. But anyhow, that's pretty much the idea of what the birds do. They shouldn't have been flying this long. It's been an hour now. And they're just now starting to come down a little bit. But at least make them fly for 20 minutes. Thanks. White one out over here on the left top. Oh. Okay, my light's flashing, so it means I'm out of battery power, but I won't watch them as long as we got battery power. Well, I'm just about out of power. Watch these birds here for just a minute or two and then I'll have to shut it off.